Hi, and welcome to a Confidence on Camera lesson. Today on Tuesday, May the 5th, I am Michael Bean. You can find more of these and more about me at on our Facebook group, facebook.com/bizstudio. The kids and teens classes are at bizstudio.ca, and you would find adult class information at michaelbean.ca. So many websites, so many websites. Today we are talking about confidence with you. Those of you who have been here in previous weeks know my opinion about it. Today we're going to get the opinion of one of my very favorite actors, very favorite film and TV actors in Vancouver, a man named Ben Cotton. And before he gets here, I'm going to show you Ben's resume and demo, or resume's IMDB page. So imdb.com, the resource of choice for finding out about actors and projects. We've got a little bit of biographical information. We got photos, and then we've got 164 credits that just keep going and going and going. So we could scroll all the way down here, all the way down, all the way down. This Mars TV series we're going to see a clip of in his reel, or the one that I was able to find on Vimeo. Right, there's a lot of locally shot shows. There's a lot of these features. Once Upon a Time in Wonderland, Arctic Air, Lawrence and Hulliman's the feature that he was one of the leads in, The Killing. And it keeps going and going. And so you can look him up and you can look in more detail. I always think it's interesting to look at the very beginning of somebody's career, which we got to go all the way back down here to 1999. And you can see that 1999, Cable Guy and Deputy Tucker. So that first year, two roles, probably likely those were small ones. Just based on the way this is listed, but we can ask him. So I like looking at the first couple of years of somebody's career. I think that's one of the things you can do in IMDb when you're looking at actors whose careers you aspire to. You look them up and you're like, okay, but what did they do at the beginning? Okay, how old were they probably when they booked this thing? How old am I now? Where does that put me, in relation? So that you're not comparing to the extraordinarily successful person of now. What you're comparing to, is that person when they were at that stage in their career. Not even necessarily the age that you're at, but that stage in their career. How far into their career were they? When did they start? And then we can watch some little clips of Ben, so you don't have to take my word for his acting awesomeness.
But right now, I want you to stop and ask yourself, what really is important to you about this mission?
It's from a National Geographic series called Mars that I believe was 2016.
Is not the most important thing in your life, then I'm going to invite you to walk out that door and go pursue whatever that thing is. Hold on, please. Lesson 4. You get what you get in this life. If you go around feeling sorry for people, you got to feel sorry for just about everybody. Well, I guess you probably do, Mr. Liberal, Mr. I feel sorry for everybody. Where do you get that? Exactly. And do you know why you feel sorry for them? Because you empathize with them. Emphasize means identify, Holman. Lesson 6. Don't emphasize with losers. What would you have done if you weren't able to stay here tonight? I know your stepfather's not after you. That was Bullet's sales pitch. Don't worry, I'm not angry.
We just find somewhere in the park, I guess.
The Killing, super stripped down and serious. This actually is my student Julia Stone, who I wish I still had clips from when she first started, so that you could see how far she came. She was one of those students who at the beginning of her career just started where everybody else did. She wasn't sort of magically apt, and then sort of almost overnight, suddenly she had this huge bump in her progress. She was doing so much better. And I was like, Julia, what happened? What did you do? And she's like, oh, those little lines of dialogue that you have, I just wrote a whole bunch of them for myself. And I set up a camera in my basement, and I've just been playing with them every day for fun. It was such a good indicator. I mean, at that time she was 11 maybe, of the way that practice is enormously effective in making people more skilled. Okay. Now I will check my phone and tell, okay, we're ready for you. We're ready for you. And while we are waiting for Ben, I will just give you my own thoughts, maybe because it's been a couple of weeks, since I got to talk to you about confidence, and the where that's evolving for me. I think that one of the through lines that you're going to hear in people's talks about confidence is preparation. That there are a whole bunch of different angles to this idea of confidence. That and previously I've talked about how it's a story that other people make based on what they witness in your behavior. And I think that the way to anchor that for yourself, and potentially is to, holy cow, is that bearded man Ben Cotton? Sorry, I just got distracted by Ben. I'm so super excited about that. The way to anchor that for yourself is with preparation. But let's talk to Ben a little bit about his journey of as an actor, and what confidence means for him, and the what he's found in finding that in his work and in himself. Okay, Ben Cotton, thank you so much for joining us. Can you hear us okay? I've unmuted you, but I can't hear you. That we might be running into a tech issue on your end. So this very charismatic man whose nose we're now looking up is Ben Cotton, whose demo we watched a moment ago. Ben, I'm going to leave you unmuted and take the focus off of you for a second so you can fiddle with whatever you need to fiddle with, and hopefully we can get sound going on your end. Sorry, Ben, still no sound here. We can see you just fine. So I think we really heard that reflected in Olivia's notes from a couple of weeks ago. Those of you who were here when Olivia Cheng was talking to us about confidence and her own journey with that, the value of preparation, where that helps her sort of feel grounded and do the work that she's able to do. All right. Okay, Ben, now you just need to unmute yourself, and I think we're good to go.
Okay, hi.
Yeah, there he is.
Hi, everybody. Lincoln, Raven, Josh. Who else have we got? Maddox, hi. Hi, Carrie.
Okay, I've got everybody else muted for the moment, Ben, because I want to just get you to start with by talking about like what confidence means to you as a performer and your journey with that, and then you take it into whatever it is you want to talk about. We'll just open it up to folks for questions for the last 5 or 10 minutes, depending what your time's like.
Okay. Well, let me see. Confidence. I think for me, as a performer, the confidence is always that effort to sort of never experience that nightmare dream where you show up somewhere and don't know what you're doing. So preparation, I think it's often, especially in the beginning of your time as an actor, there's always these concerns that maybe I'm not doing it right, or am I giving them what they want, or is it working, and all of that. And I think to get through that, you just have to be prepared. If you've asked a lot of questions about your character and about the story, and trying to figure out who they are and what they think and what they want and what they're doing, then you'll be a long ways towards feeling confident. I mean, I think that's basically what it comes down to. If you can let go of your confidence being connected to a director or a producer or another actor telling you that you're good, or that you've done well or whatever, if you can let go of needing that, which isn't easy, but if you can let go of needing that validation in play and in its place, just put a desire to know all the answers, to be prepared, to just ask all the questions. Who is this person? Who am I talking to? What do I need? A lot of it's basic, you know. I don't think, sometimes actors want to just prepare and prepare, and they want to write a book about it and come up with all the backstory, and all of that stuff is important and you have to do it. But often we're playing, especially in the beginning of your career, you're playing small parts where you're like, you know, if you try and play the fact that this person in the 10th grade went through this or that or whatever, it doesn't work. Knowing everything about your character in some roles doesn't help you. Sometimes you just have to say the words. I'm going to ramble now. We should talk. We should open it up and talk to people. Can we? Oh, wait. I can't hear you guys.
I've got everybody muted, so that's on my end. So technology, here we go. You are all now unmuted. There's some of you are going to need to unmute yourself if you've got questions. But Ben, it looks like you have accidentally muted yourself.
Oh, there we go. There we go. Yeah, so can you hear me now?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's fine.
I mean, it's not a simple answer, but I think that is the answer to where your confidence comes from, is just being prepared and knowing that it's on you. It's on you to have fun. If you're having fun with what you're doing, and you take your role and you do it the same way that you would when you're hanging out with your friends and playing and goofing off. You do it for fun. And when you approach it that way, I think you sail through the work a little easier, you know. This is a good time. It's supposed to be a good time. And I think when you approach it like that, you'll enjoy answering the questions that will give you the confidence, because the confidence should never come from, you know, someone else.
What would you,
that makes sense?
As a younger actor, what would you say supported you in making that transition from your sense of confidence coming from the validation of decision makers, or teachers, etc., to your own sense of play and engagement with the script? Like what was that journey like for you, or what supported you there?
I think ultimately it just comes down to experience. I mean, the more I know, especially in the beginning when I started, I said yes to absolutely everything. I was doing every short film I could possibly get my hands on, out of the Georgia Strait, out of anywhere. VFS.
No. Anything to eat? There's all kinds of stuff to it, except for the fry. Oh, soft yogurt. Got yogurt.
Sorry. I'm just gonna.
But that's all good. Here we are.
Just tangled up. Did you like Julien LeBlanc? Yeah.
Hey friends, somebody's having like a loud conversation about. Bear with us. It was Lily. Okay, great.
What was the question? We were talking about the journey of the confidence. Yeah, I think I like I said, I said yes to everything I possibly could when I first started, and it's just the more experience you have, the more for me, it took me a while to understand what was happening on set, because there's so many people and they're all doing something. And for me, that kind of kept me from really focusing on my work in the beginning. I wanted to know what was going on. So I was watching everyone else, and then I'd forget to work. I'd forget to focus on my objective and on my words and all of that stuff. So I think the more that you work, the more that confidence will naturally build. But also, I think it's important to bear in mind that nobody in this business knows what they're doing. Everybody's just trying. Everybody's just, it's an experiment. It's the same as when you make a painting in your, you know, on your living room floor. You don't know what's coming. You know that you want to paint something, and you know that, you know, maybe it's going to be these colors or those colors or whatever. But I mean, you don't really know what's coming, you know? And you just kind of got to go with it. If that makes any sense. But nobody really knows what they're doing, is my point. Nobody really has the answers to how this thing all works. They're all just kind of throwing it against the wall and seeing if it sticks. And you got to keep that in mind, even when you're working with, you know, really experienced producers and directors and people. I mean, a lot of them will know what they're doing, and you'll feel that when you're there, and that will bring confidence to you, because it's great to be, you know, in the hands of somebody who really understands what they're doing. But I think it's important to not take the whole thing too seriously. I mean, sometimes I think as actors, we put so much importance on getting a job and what that job might mean, and what if that job might lead to another job and maybe a career and all these things. And all those things are fine to contemplate, but they overwhelm you a little bit sometimes. And you start thinking about things that are not the work. You know, you got to enjoy the work. That's really what it comes down to. And just try things, and trust that when you are there, if you try something that really doesn't work, it's your director's job to go, oh, okay, slow it down. Let's do this a little bit differently. And you got to, you know, you have to trust that they'll be there to have your back in that situation. And you know what? If they aren't, this show's not going to be very good. And the nice thing about when a show's not very good is it doesn't get seen that far. You know, people don't see it if it's crap. So don't worry too much, you know? Don't worry too much. Just go and have a good time, because that's what it is at the end of the day. When you go in the theater, it's called a play for a reason. I think I might have stole that from Carrie. I'm not sure. But it is called a play. Don't ever forget that. We're here to play. No matter how serious the scene might be, this still needs to be a good time. And I think the more you approach it from that, the more your confidence will build, because you'll be like, no, I have ideas. You know, trust your ideas, because you're funny. If you weren't funny, and if you weren't talented at this in some kind of way, you wouldn't have wanted to do it. And so keep that in your mind. Enjoy that fact that there's a reason why you said, hey, wait a minute, I might like to do that. And it's because there's this thing inside you that you enjoy. So stick with that thing, rather than getting stuck in somebody going, well, is he or she good enough, or right enough? I think sometimes especially again when you're younger, it's natural to want to do it well and do it right, because that's what we're doing. We go to school every day, and you get a quiz, you get a test, and you either got a 5 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10, you know, like everything's measurable. And it's not really like that here. You know, I mean, I guess if you're really missing the mark, you won't be getting work. You know, that's basically how it goes. But if you're getting work, trust that, you know that when they've brought you in for an audition, it's because you're good enough. The fact that you're there is the signal that says, yeah, we like you. Let's try that. Let's try and see what you've got. And so if you, like a lot of times actors, I think, get the job and then get to set, and they're so nervous and freaked out, and you're forgetting that, no, they already gave you the job. If you're there as an equal, and you're there to play, and ask for help whenever you need it. But have a great time is really, I think, what it all comes down to. And the more that you work and you listen and you pay attention and watch what's going on, you'll start to know the technical things. Those things will come to you, how to work with the camera. And especially, y'all are young, so you know that going into it, everybody's going to want to help you. Camera people are going to want to give you tips. Here, do this when that's happening, or try this thing or whatever. People will help you. People are kind and they want to see you succeed. You remember that. Always remember that. They want to see you do well. I think it's really easy for actors to think that everyone's against them. Like, this is a test and you might fail. It doesn't really work that way. It's a much kinder environment than that. Not to say that there aren't weird people or mean things that happen once in a while, but generally the world is a lot kinder than it being a really important test all the time, Do any of you guys have any questions while we're at this? Should we unmute for a second?
Yeah, what do you got?
Anybody have any questions they want to ask?
Yeah, is there anything that Ben's just said that you want to get him to talk a little bit more about? Or is there anything that you'd like to ask him about his experience as an actor, right? Even just running something that you're currently thinking about by him, did you experience this thing that I'm experiencing? What did you do with this? Getting the benefit of more experienced actors' personal journey, is for me often so much better than advice. Lincoln.
When you were like 12, I was told that when I hit 12, that it's going to be super slow. Did that happen to you?
Well, I didn't have the opportunity to audition until much later than that. I mean, I was doing, by the time I was 12, I started doing theater. But it was really a different boat. Here's the thing. That may be true. It may slow down at 12. It may not. I don't really know the answer to that. I don't know that there's a trend necessarily. Let me put it this way. The answer to that question isn't going to help you do your work. So the reason I say that is because that is something that you can't control. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So even if it does slow down, or even if it speeds up or whatever, you don't have control over either answer. So my suggestion would be, wing it. You try your best. You try your best every time you go to an audition. And if you do, it's a matter of numbers. I mean, hey, even if you have no idea what you're doing right now, even if you're not good at this, you'll get better. You know what I mean? Even if you were crap at this, you'll get better at it. So it's a matter of time. You just put your time in and put your effort in and put your heart into what you're doing, and it won't matter. You'll work when everyone else isn't working, because your heart's in what you're doing. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I mean, I'm in one of those spaces right now. I'm 44, and there's a lot of people have said the same thing to me about how, right about now, things start to slow down a little bit. It's weird. I think there's potential for it to go bigger, but there are busy pockets in an actor's life, age-wise. There definitely are going to be busy pockets, but ultimately, I think there's nothing you can do about those pockets one way or the other, I want to encourage you to focus on things that you can actually have an effect on, which is, how well do you know your words? How well do you understand what your character needs, and can you show that? You know, like, it's stuff like that that will help you to weather those times when maybe it does get a little slower, you know.
That's great. Thanks, Ben.
Yeah.
Lily used the chat window to put in a question, so I'm just going to read it to you.
Okay.
She says, I'm 13 and from the Chicago area, and most of the roles for kids here on TV shows are gritty. I had to play one recently where I got shot in a school shooting. I thought I was prepared for it and was okay when I did it, but the next few nights I had bad dreams. How do you decompress after a role like that? And that's from Lily in Chicago.
Oh, hi, Lily. That's a great question.
Because you've played, you know, some like bad people doing bad things.
I have, and I'll quickly tell you about an experience that I had when I was playing a serial killer one time. And I was having a great time. I was enjoying it. But at the end of the day, they were a really intense couple of days of lots of rage and being really mean, and I was, you know, harming people, and it was, you know, story-wise it was awful, but as an actor I was having a great time, you know, it was fun. And at the end of one of the days, I went to my hotel room. I was shooting in Calgary, and I thought, well, that was fun, that was crazy, and I laid down on my bed and I started to shake, and then I started to cry. And I just wept for, like, I don't know, a long time. And the thing about it is that I realized in the moment while that was happening that I wasn't unhappy. I wasn't sad. I wasn't upset about anything. And what I realized is that sometimes when you fake it, because I wasn't feeling honest, I wasn't truthfully raging in the day while we were shooting all this crazy rageful things. But sometimes your body doesn't know the difference between what's real and what's not real. If you trick your body into thinking you're enraged, that rage has to go somewhere, or that feeling has to go somewhere. And what I've discovered is how you go about letting it go doesn't really matter. The point is that you do something. Sometimes I will, after a role that's really intense, I'll go and get a haircut or shave my head, or I'll, hi friend, we got a dog. The point isn't exactly what you do to let go of the feelings of a role, it's that you do something. Light a candle for yourself. Sit down and have a meditation maybe, and just thank that experience and that role and any of the feelings that you have around it. Thank them for being there because they help you to be an artist. And then do something to let it go, some kind of a ritual, whatever it is. The point is that what you do doesn't matter. It's that you do something, and it really helps to make those anxiety dreams and those scary dreams and things go away, because you've made friends with that thing that scared you or that upset you or that, you know, brought your pulse up, you know, that freaked you out. If you can befriend those feelings and treat them with a kindness and a respect and a gratitude for the fact that they showed up for you when the time was right, when you needed it, then it goes a really long way to not holding on to it. I also would recommend exercising all the time. Exercise. I mean, you're all, from what I can see on these videos, you're all younger than me by a stretch. You're probably exercising all the time anyway, just because life is that way. But take charge of that for yourself. Do yoga and exercise. Those things alone will help you to sort of dissipate a lot of the emotional stuff that can get heavy in those days after you're done and the dreams come. I hope it was a fun job, as upsetting as that all is.
Any last questions for Ben? She says, it was, thank you.
Wonderful.
Any last questions before we wrap up for today? No, just Caden throwing his arms in the air.
I see you, Caden.
Oh,
Caden, you have a
yeah,
question?
Caden. Yeah, question.
Thank you for teaching.
You're welcome. Thank you for being here.
Ben, that was fantastic. Thank you so much for showing up and dropping some wisdom on these folks.
Thank you. I'm so happy to do it, and it's nice to see all your faces, and good luck, you guys. Good luck to you all.
Yeah.
Enjoy yourselves.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lily.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.